Good morning, and welcome to today's coverage of Stars Championship Series presented by Mazda Motorsports. Today, we look to see how King of the Castle finishes out. It's time for Finals Day to see who comes up on top with the hardware here on Kart Chaser. I'm Justin Prince along trackside here for today for our pre-coverage as we work through morning warm-ups. Once again, will be Nate Dean and Kyle Cuthbertson. Today's expected to be an exciting day for our competitors. We've seen plenty of battles, a lot of storylines pop up with drivers as they've adjusted to the greener racetrack to start the weekend. And in turn, we've seen a lot of competitors make good strides to try and find a way to get some of their first wins of 2026. Right now on racetrack is the KA Masters. To begin things out with your warm-ups here this morning. So far, over the course of the weekend, your KA Masters have put together some interesting storylines. After all, we've had overall 2 different winners over the course of the day so far, or the weekend should say. That was with David Bologna coming up with Heat 1, with Pierce Baldus coming away wins in Heat 2 in the pre-final. But let's go down trackside where we find Nate and Kyle. Guys.
Thank you, Justin. For the final time, it is May in Indianapolis. It is May 31st, last day. We've had a great month of racing so far in this state. And here we are, back again for the final day. We're doing the only thing in this state we know how to do besides drink, and that's race, right? It's going to be a great day of action.
Yeah, obviously back home again in Indiana. For those of you back home who had Kyle mentioning he was at the Indy 500 on your bingo card, you can go and check that off. Again, my name's Nate Dean, King of the Castle. Welcome back to a KA Masters on track for their final warm-up session on the weekend before we get into main events. Kyle, over 30 karts in this KA Master field. We'll talk about more the classes more in depth as the sessions go on but Saturday, a ton of close wheel-to-wheel racing, especially in these Masters class and throughout the entire grid. Looking forward to what we see today.
Yeah, I just have to excuse myself for a moment because I'm having major audio issues.
So, Will, you and me, we're going to walk a little bit on grid here. Give you a little bit of a rundown. Will, you can walk with me. Starting with the back, James Fox, new-ish to the national scene with Top Kart. He's got Danny O'Gara helping him out. Danny, you've seen at IKC, at other major karting events throughout the United States. Obviously, him helping out James, P5 in qualifying. Really impressive for him. Bo Wyatt, another driver who's been bursting onto the scene in 2026. We're going to follow him down. We don't have to stand still here, Will. We can move around. A little bit of a Will Buxton grid walk, if you will. Admittedly, about 10 or so minute sessions for these warm-ups, so not a whole lot of drivers. You can spin around and give the viewers a little bit of a view of what we got going on here. Not a lot of drivers on grid right now, waiting for later on in the session. You can see here one of the Swift classes, the Micro Swifts, smaller chassis than what you are used to seeing in the junior or the senior ranks. So have the same, giving a little bit of context to the viewers at home. Same tires on both the front and the rear, just a little bit less grip. Helps these drivers develop their driving habits before they make that move up into junior. Final bit up here, Will, before I send it back to Justin for a little bit. Talk about some of the drivers that we've seen at the front of the field. Jack Katowski is an emerging talent in the United States for Barrel Art and Trinity Karting Group. Him and the TKG guys ready to go for today. Definitely a favorite in this class, Justin, but interesting to hear what you thought of the racing yesterday and how you think it might go today.
Well, it's an interesting type of battling I think we might see today in particular because we have so many drivers that are at the very least looking to make some waves. In particular, John Bonanno's looking to build upon what was a stellar start to the season for him at Charlotte. I think he's going to be one of the drivers to watch for with the charge he made up back up to P8 and will have an opportunity to move forward from essentially there onward here today. But so many of the other competitors, like Nico Coloros in the conversation, Brent Estes picked up the speed in the pre-final in particular. There's a lot of drivers that have an opportunity to pick up
Welcome back. Sorry about that technical issue, but I believe we're back and we're good now on the grid for Pro Master Shifter, as well as the Swift Stars are on the racetrack. Nate, what is the one thing of Pro Masters that you noticed?
That Burrell Art, Jordan Musser, is incredibly fast, and the rest of the field are going to be spending this warm-up session and the time leading up to the main event wondering how they can dethrone that number 1 plate. He's just been so consistent throughout the sessions so far this weekend, and really a lot of drivers probably scratching their heads after the races yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan's just made it look easy, but you can't discount the Rocket Racing Company, number 633 of Cole Matheson, as well as you see behind me lined up here third for the warm-up, Tim Hollowell in the 631 TV Kart. They are locals to the Newcastle Motorsports Park. They're running here for years. The TV Kart, they're running out of a garage here. It's pretty cool stuff when you see a privateer entry and a locally to the club come to the national scene and actually compete for the win.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tracks in the country where you see that happen. Newcastle definitely one of those where it has its following of drivers that go on very well here. You just think of bull rings like Badger Kart Club in Wisconsin. Those drivers, when a national or a regional comes there, just do so well. Walking a little bit further back, John Crow in the Supermaster as well, the 531 Ralph Schumacher kart. He's been dominant in his class as well. So for those Supermasters, definitely going to be once again scratching their heads. Matt Machiko, the number 3 plate, Magic Kart, Greyhound seat in that. He's had some pace throughout this weekend, Kyle, maybe lacking in a few areas, had a couple issues on the start procedure and getting off the line, but I'm sure with a team like Magic Kart and the success that they have in the shifter ranks, that they'll have that car ready in no time.
Well, you see Matt putting on the neon, the chartreuse offset gloves right now. We saw those working yesterday. He for sure, after the pre-final, I think is looking forward to them sticker set of tires. We go further back. Scott Presti in the Croc promotion.
I mean, Scott's been impressive as well. Most of these guys have had the pace to hold with them for a couple of laps, and by him, I mean Jordan Musser. The issue has been Musser as the Swift Stars, the Micro Swifts, go roaring by us. The issue mainly, Kyle, is how well Jordan Musser is able to maintain his equipment throughout a long run. It seems like the number 2 and the number 3 plates have just burned him off by the first half of the race. And, you know, if we were doing the pre-final or the heat race distances, maybe they'd be able to find something overnight, but when we're almost doubling for the time for the main events, it's going to be a big ask for these drivers to hold with the number 1.
Yeah, I mean, in the shifter category, a lot of that has to do with tires, as you were saying, right? Like, you see Scott Presti here about to scuff in a set of stickers to get ready for the final. Longer final, almost double the distance. And yeah, I think we saw a lot in this class in the pre-final, how well Jordan Musser was able to save those tires, save that equipment, like you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Working a little bit further back here, more drivers rolling up to the grid here at Newcastle Motorsports Park. You see a whole variety of different chassis makes and kinds. Obviously, those who will be watching us for a long time are well aware of Factory Kart and what Billy Musgrave has done with that program, continuing to build that up in the United States and having some representation here with Cheek III in the Master Shifter ranks. Maranello USA with Carblos Racing Engines has been a very strong package we've seen in the past couple of years. Drivers like Josh Conker, Justin White in Pro Shifter have gotten wins here, and you know they still are available for some wins in the Pro Stars category this year as well in the OKN Stars with Mari Kremers and a few other drivers. Towards the back of the grid here, Kyle, as you can see back here, Stars, it's staple at this point.
Yeah,
have the donuts ready to go.
A little bit of a tour here. Just kind of talk about what's going on. We'll get to the donuts, but I just want to come over here real quick because I noticed this. I thought we missed it, but there's been a game of volleyball that's been happening all morning, and I've just been dying to join in. I don't know. Let's see. Don't walk away. Come on. Hey. Hey, can I get in? Can I get in? Pass me the ball.
I think there's a reason that We're behind the
reason that
mics.
we're
This
on
is
the
this is
broadcast.
bad. This is horrible.
I know Lawrence is looking at me like he wants to get in on the volleyball, and they're running away. They have to get ready for warm up.
It's so bad that they actually ran away from us. That's incredible.
It's actually, but they were playing volleyball over the fence, and then they moved. It was crazy all morning. And Travis Pettit was one of them that was playing volleyball all morning. What's up, Travis? We're gonna grab Travis real quick. Travis, tell me about your day yesterday on a new team. You know, how's it been getting onto the BGR racing team as well as your whole day yesterday?
Oh yeah, I mean the BJR is an amazing crew. I'm having a lot of fun. Yesterday went pretty well. Pre-final was pretty good. Came out on top in the pre-final, and yeah, let's send it today.
Yeah, longer finals today. Is there anything yesterday that you're taking into today?
Well, wait, say that again.
Is there anything you're taking from yesterday into today? I think OKN Junior, there was a huge battle. You know, so what did you learn yesterday to take to today?
Well, I learned that yesterday was a little cooler, and it's gonna be a little cooler today. So we made some chassis setup changes to adapt to the track.
Thank you, Travis. Good luck.
Thank you.
Travis Pettit, the number 1 plate. The number 1 plate looks so cool. It never gets old. Very, very cool.
Gonna move back here, Will, to Marco Sama. We're just one driver back from Travis Pettit, still a BJR teammate. Marco, haven't talked to you so far this weekend. Just run us through how it's been going so far and what the confidence is like going into the main event.
It was going pretty bad in the beginning of the weekend, but we found pace, and it's going pretty good since that. I mean, Heat 1, we got 2 penalties, so that dropped us back, but we made it up all in the pre-final, so starting second next to Travis, ready for the final.
What's it like been having Travis as a teammate?
It's been great. I've never really had a teammate before, so it's been pretty nice having him as a teammate.
And then a little off topic, we saw you at the FIA Academy last weekend, top 10 in points, a really impressive run for you over there. Talk about, has that helped you at all going into this weekend or helped you develop as a driver?
That definitely helped me develop as getting a lot more aggressive, as their driving style over there is very, you could say aggressive or dirty, but it helped me kind of gain a lot of confidence on making passes, and that's really it, just getting more aggressive on making passes and stuff.
All right, we're going to let the OKN Juniors get on to grid. Justin Prince in the booth, back to you.
Thank you very much, guys. By the way, Michael Swift just finished up their grouping. That was Tristan Francisco at the top of the board with Bryson Barnett and Franco Chavo at that session. I'd like to remind everyone that today's pre-race coverage is brought to you by Perico. Be sure to get your Perico today. Once again, glad to have them a part of our coverage for our pre-race coverages throughout the season we've seen so far here on Kart Chaser, whether with the pit box or with this morning here across the paddock here in Stars. Right now, KZ Masters and KZ Supermasters are on the racetrack for their respective group at the moment. They talked about some of the storylines. For those who missed again, Jordan Munster's been dominant. John Crow's been dominant so far. They're the two favorites as they go about for today. Remember, the whole shot so critical. We've seen for how things could go in the battles. Munster was able to zoom up to the front within 4 or 5 minutes when he did get a whole shot in one of the heat races yesterday. But today, it's a whole new day with rubber they have to work their way into here this morning. Of course, when it comes to the championship thought process here, to keep in mind, a lot of these drivers are potentially going to have to start thinking about points, and more points as we go about. Well, the estimated tallies coming into this run now is Jordan Munster has a 106-point advantage in the Pro Masters right now over Kevin Clark. You also have Matt Machiko with 142 back as they go on that side. John Crow currently, once those were following along on screen, unofficially has a 64-point advantage as we go about over that 577. Tim Hannon, who fell way back at the end of the pre-final yesterday, currently projected at a -91 before today's finals here this morning. And it's been the type of class in general. Seen a lot of intrigue in general because of how a lot of the squabbling has gone for about second, third, fourth, fifth-ish on the racetrack this weekend. Scott Presti's been amongst those that's had battling speed up for good points this weekend in the 2-plate. Tim Hallwell's been a good shout throughout the course of the weekend. What they've been able to do, especially as the conditions got hotter yesterday with the Kart. But it's going to be all about, can you find a way as we go through the morning sessions to decide who wins these finals, making sure you're able to adapt to what's going to be double the distance here essentially to a majority of your races yesterday. Remember, when it comes to these finals, to emphasize, so you haven't watched an event, when it comes to everything else at the Pro Show, it's 14 minutes plus 2 laps for these competitors. The max they've ran is about 9 minutes in a run. So essentially, the estimate, give or take, would be about 16 laps. You have to make sure your kart is able to last, since the lap times take about a minute or so here at Newcastle Motorsports Park. Still 3 minutes to work with here in this session for those tuning in. We hope you're enjoying today's coverage so far. You're on Kart Chaser, what's been a busy weekend across the entire Kart Chaser grouping of races, whether here, whether in Nevada, or anywhere across the nation here in the United States. What's been a busy end to the month of May. Keep in mind, Stars has had some entertaining races so far. Queen City Gambit and King of the Castle. By the time it gets to July, with Clash of the Club, it's going to get even more interesting with the chances for the battles. Let's send it out trackside once again. Let's send it down to pit lane.
Thanks, Justin. With Christian Marsh, COO of Stars Championship Series. Christian, another successful event thus far for Stars here for King of the Castle. Just talk us through a little bit of how much work and effort as a team this takes to put an event like this on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's obviously it's a lot of moving pieces. People don't always see the work it puts in on the back end. Our whole team, all of our full-time staff, we don't have day jobs, right? Between the Stars program, the Apex program, and the National Karting Alliance, this is all we do. 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, we're working on go-kart stuff, and there's a lot of moving pieces, right? Even just coordinating, we've got 50 employees that we bring on a weekend, plus people working remote from home now. With some new technology we've got. So it's a lot of stuff. We're just really thankful that all the racers are still coming out to support it. And as it's grown, it still feels like a cool family environment, which I think is the most important to us.
Yeah, I mean, that family environment is something we've noticed here at Stars. The first couple of Apex races we did just had that family feel in the paddock. We're going to send it down to Kyle. Justin in the booth. Christian, thank you so much for your time. Sure. Kyle, back to you on grid.
Thanks, guys.
Down here on the grid, and I'm just going to take a walk down the OKN Junior field. Now, yesterday, OKN Junior was one of the best races of the weekend, but I think something that we don't do enough here, and Nate, you're free to come join me if you want, is I don't think we show the liveries, the graphics on these karts enough to really give you a full ID of what you see on the broadcast. You see here's a Ryan Perry Motorsport machine. Custom graphics, of course, for that team, for Ryan Perry's team. That is, of course, an X3. It's full OTK under the Ryan Perry tent. See, there's a U-Race, Tony Kart. Beautiful red, white, and blue on that machine. And then next to it, here's Nico Kotowski, one of the front runners of OKN Junior. He's going to be in the fight for the lead, and they run a Burrell Art livery, but Sean Bailiff prints his own graphics, and you'll see some of the little ties to TKG Burrell Art USA. So you can see Hotes Driver Development. We have the Hotes kit with the regular Tony Kart graphics, but in their colors. This is Santian. He's going to be another front runner at the front today, fighting for the win. Let's see what else we got. Then we have a Pontino. Very, very awesome chartreuse and blue. Giorgio Pontino was a great go-kart driver, and fun fact, I saw his only IndyCar start, one of like 2 at Mid-Ohio. But Giorgio Pontino is where the Pontino chassis comes from. Fun fact.
It pops throughout the rest of the OTK field. Moving on, Speed Concepts moving to the CS55 chassis, another brand of the OTK over the past couple of years. Tucker Tree head down and ready to go here. Aiken Racing is one of the newer teams we've seen, at least on the national scene, basing themselves in the South. We've seen them at Trackhouse Motorplex the past couple of years. They run again a EOS OTK chassis. Moving back here a little bit, Will, this is something Kyle and I wanted to talk about, the 818. We've seen the LN carts. Actually, if you look in the cart in front of you, this is the original LN graphics, and then once Lando Norris won his world championship, a new special edition to more match his current helmet with that design. Very cool indeed, Kyle.
It's a beautiful LN cart. You see there on the front fairing F1 World Champion 2025. It's a beautiful kit. We've all noticed it. As we go down the grid, there's the comp cart of Holden Myers. Beautiful comp cart. There's Tristan Murphy in the RPM Tony kart. He's going to be in the mix today. On our left here, you'll see the MPG Kart Republic, the 881. MPG running their own kits, and then right in front of them is an MPG Kart Republic as well, but running the J. Howard driver development graphics. Rocket Racing Company, Elefante with the custom RRC helmet as well. They run a gold and blue kit, CS55 LN kart machines under that tent. And then we come down to the end of the grid, and you'll see a lot of chartreuse blue and white. These are the BJR Racing LN carts. Pretty standard to the Lando Norris kit, but it is inverted. That's how you can tell it is a BJR kart, and they also have the BJR logo right on the front nose. See Lawrence Perriman there running the Lando Norris basketball helmet, but his own version. It's very, very cool, one of the most unique helmets in the paddock.
It's got a texture to it too, like basketball. You can see there, obviously, the Ward Racing visor strip, one of the drivers that have been racing over in Europe. Same too with Colton Schniekenberg. Engines are fired. We're going to get out of the way here, Will. Red light is on, but you can see just the armada of BJR LN carts at the front of this grid, spearheaded by Travis Pettit, the #1 plate, looking for his first win on the BJR platform. Justin Prince, back to you in the booth.
Thank you so much as they get themselves rolling. Of note, with the Pro Masters and Super Masters that finished up their session, Matt Machiko was the quickest in their group over Nicole Matthewson and Scott Presti. Machiko did have issues at the end of the session, though, and went off into the infield as we've seen. So, might be a little bit of work coming up for one of the Magic carts that looks to have speed today. For comparison, though, some of the top drivers didn't necessarily put the top times they could in that session for some of your championship competitors. Remember, the KA Juniors yesterday had a pileup out coming out of their warm-up, remember? This time through, a lot more cleaner to be able to go on through. And right now, the KA Juniors looking to see where things shuffle. Because so far, it's been an interesting fight. When you look at how things have gone with the pre-drop, it's actually Nico Katowski projected as the points leader over Travis Pettit with the way things have gone this weekend so far, but that's a very rough estimate so far. But Santian, Berghoff, Fernandez, we're all in the hunt entering the weekend essentially to try and fight for the title up at the very top of the board coming into the weekend. And right now, it's going to be the major difference maker. If you can get a good finish in this race, it sets yourself up for great momentum. So when we go off into the summertime, and better yet, make sure you've got the right pace. The BJRs in particular have been up there on pace all weekend in this class. It was just touched upon during the paint scheme show-off there. But Katowski and Pettit, of note, did pull away in the respective second heat to control things yesterday. Pre-final action was also intriguing in its own right, remember, when it came to our competitors, where Travis Pettit in the end did pick up the advantage by more than a second over Marco Samet. Let's send it down trackside. Nate, stand by.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. KA Junior on track. It only seems fitting to talk about what we all saw yesterday in morning warm-up. A little bit of context. For the pit exit going this direction, they go from grid all the way through here around this 90 right and onto track. What Stars have done, because this is a choke point on the pit exit, they put this chicane made of cones. Now, what happened yesterday? Someone who thought they were funny took these two cones, moved them out of the way so you could straight line it. Stars have since changed that and made sure this morning that the chicane is still there. The whole point of this, slow them down before they potentially go into the barriers like yesterday. Good thing today, they made it through it nice and safe, and Stars have an eye on it. Back to you, Justin.
Important to make sure that everything is secure and everything is safe. After all, there are at least 20+ karts that are involved in some of the contact and the stack up, and at least several that had to use some of the chassis jigs and be able to fix up their karts. Yesterday's chaos. Colton Sneakenberg for now is at the top of the board. By the way, the RPMs having to fire off. JR's down the order to begin things off, but again, warm up is more so a sense to feel if your kart has any issues, and then you try and execute with what you've got on the setup here today. Now, of note, for some of the various competitors over the course of the weekend to watch for, there have been a few drivers that have tried to push forward. Mason Brody, for example, second fastest. He was one of the drivers well into the teens yesterday in the pre-final. He's one of the candidates that we may see be into the hard charger category. Same for Stinkenberg. These two have been having a hard time in this class in comparison to OKNJ to get their way through the field. Haven't been able to find their way out of the mid-packs. Today, it's the question, can they find the race pace they've been so desperately looking for? Get themselves to the point to control the KA Junior class. We've seen hard charges from the back to front before. Will they be amongst the candidates today? Tucker Treva Mount once again from Speed Concepts has been also well respected in terms of their runs. They'll be starting just outside the top 10. Also keep an eye on here today to find if they're going to be able to repeat what they were able to do at one of the heat races, be amongst some of the lead packs, in fact, with some of the competitiveness they showed. Take a look right now at the BJRs, by the way, on your racetrack. Pettit again was focused on trying to insist on the data, make sure they all followed the data mindsets yesterday in terms of some of the discussions. And right now, Pettit is amongst those who's going to be so difficult to beat in general in this series and type of racing. He was one of the top drivers in rating overall on Carter DB coming into the month because of how well he's competed in the class when it comes to the juniors. Going to be a name to keep an eye on with the way things are shaping up overall. Right now it's doing well, at least to practice with Berghofer, make sure they're staying in sync on their practice with 1:30 to work with in the session. So outside of these drivers of, say, the Pettits and Kotelskis we expect in the front of the day, Santian, once those who were able to keep up with the lead pack in majority of the runs outside of Heat 2. It's going to be one of those we'll keep an eye on today to make sure if there's the same repeat, if you will. It's actually Moskolenko who's at the top of the board right now. That's with a 112-1, by the way. That's one of the Rocket Racing Company machines we haven't seen too much of this weekend. For reference, that 888 machine in your order actually got a penalty yesterday. One of multiple for incident responsibilities and or pushbacks. For the case of Moskolenko, it was a 5-second penalty that put them down in 40th at the end of the pre-final. So one of those karts who has speed that is going to have to cut through the pack fast. They want to salvage a solid points paying day with the way things could look out over the course of the weekend. Others that received penalties with post-race review: William Vitor, Jacob Scheibel, Lawrence Perriman picked up one. The pushback was for Yutzi. You had Berkelo, Nicholas Marin also amongst those. What was a feisty pre-final at the very end yesterday. But all that is to say, the warm-up is over for KA Junior. They're about to peel themselves down off the racetrack. Colton Sneakenberg right now at the top of the board on hot lap for about 3-4 laps as they work their way to the tires. Let's go down trackside. Kyle, you have some interesting stuff for us when it comes to GoPros.
Thank you, Justin. I just want to highlight one of our partners here. I'll move over to get better mic signal. Come with me, Will. I just want to highlight one of our partners, GoPro. I was lucky enough a couple weeks ago to be sent the GoPro Mission 1 camera. So this is their latest camera that they have released. It actually got publicly released on Thursday of last week, and basically it comes with you can get a new attachment that makes it easy to hold, easy to grip, as you can see. It's got the handle on the right hand side, makes it more like a camera, like this segment is being filmed on, which then you can also press the record button off of, and it just makes it an easy vlog camera. If you've ever been at the racetrack and you think, man, I need to make more social content, I need to make more content about my racing so I can hopefully attract more partners to help us out, right? I know a thing or two about that. Social media guy. Yeah, this is just perfect for it. I made a couple videos during the Indy 500 while I had it, because I was just testing it out, so I could plan to see what we would use it for with Kart Chaser. And I had this thing basically buckled to my person the entire race. And I was jumping up and down for Felix Rosenquist to win the race. Absolutely, completely stable footage. And you take it out of its little compartment. This is actually what the GoPro is. It's a little heavier, a little bigger than the ones than you'd say a Hero 13, but yeah, as a vlog camera, it's perfect. 8K, open gate. I think it records in like something crazy like 900 FPS.
Has a really high frame rate on it. As engines are fired, so we'll end this fairly shortly. We'll come back to it, but really impressive camera that GoPro have made for us. We're gonna let engines fire and let them go off, and then we'll come back to the GoPro. Back to you, Justin.
Yes, indeed. Definitely a nice camera, I will say, with what it looks like there and some of the shots we've seen from that for those who follow along. Kyle Cuthbertson also assists with David Land on his coverage. David Land, someone who's appeared on Kart Chaser in the past. Land, of course, now busy when it comes to IndyCar coverage these days and was one of the main media sources for those who followed on with the modern day social media followings. Swift Stars is on the racetrack, though, right now. And Swift Stars has put together some phenomenal battling because there were so many comebacks from the back to front that were touched upon in our discussion points that are going to be notable. The pre-finals, seen Hudson Howard drive from 19th to the lead in 9 minutes to take the lead. Then you had, as well, some of the others, like Slade Harrell, that was able to join the conversation, kept in the conversation until we had Howard join it. Yet Enzo Ramos, one of those in the Paralympics that stayed at the front. It looked early on that the Paralympics would control the race, in fact. But as one driver has a spin and gets back going and gets fired up, that already seen a bit of a slide down the order of BB Wild. It ended up becoming the MPGs that were able to control things at the end of the race, or those that at least in MPG equipment, with Howard being, of course, Jay Howard driver development. It was definitely the type of event that might and will lead to a lot of excitement here today, to say the very least. Now, one of the other notables when it comes to Swift Stars is how many others joined in. Spencer Height was a +8. Dalton Sears joined the top 10, being running board along. You had Dutch Westbrook, who was pushed down the order after troubles in Heat 2, who ended up recovering to 11th, and he will be one of your candidates to be a hard charger here for the final because he's one of the fastest drivers in the H bracket this year and is looking solid when in track position in the Bennett camp. For reference, his speeds were as high as the 1:16.1s. His fastest lap was within 9 1/1000ths of your race leader / fastest lap of the race set by Hudson Howard. So there's a chance we see similar replications from Westbrook into today for your final. Let's send it out trackside as we keep on catching up with some of the competitors. Let's head down to the track where Chris McKeithen standing by with one of the crew members.
Chris, you agree with that? Obviously, Chris Merkeithen, Brandon Jorscrack Racing driver. Chris, we've been so accustomed to seeing you run in 206 categories the past couple of years. You've made the change over, not the full change, you've been experimenting more with the KA package, and you've really found your footing. Just talk about that process from going from that Briggs package to the IAME and what you found.
I mean, it helps when we come to familiar tracks like Newcastle. I have a lot of laps around here with the CKNA stuff, and the track kind of races like a 4-cycle race. I mean, yesterday to 25th, it was less than 5 seconds. So with how everybody was white-lining and just constantly passing for the lead, and I had a lot of people tell me that was one of the best KA races they've seen, and yeah, it was probably the most fun race I've ever been a part of.
You know, with Brandon Jorscrack Racing and with the help of John Seglum as well, how important is it to have such a strong team and a base foundation to help you find speed and find pace?
I mean, the coaches are the best. I mean, Paulie and Smiles do a great job. We got, I think, 3 of the top 4 today, 2 karts on the front row, so it should be really exciting for us, and hopefully we can come away with a good result. And yeah, Brandon's guidance is the best I could ask for, along with Eddie. When I don't perform the best, he's always right there telling me what I should have done, and I appreciate that because it helps me do better the next time.
All right, well, good luck today, Chris. We have Kyle Cuthbertson standing by with Hayden Jones.
Thank you, Nate. Down here with Hayden. Hayden, you are sitting second in the point standings. I don't think you were planning on doing the full series, but you end up here in the championship fight. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so showed up to Charlotte, first time in the kart in 10 months, and I got P2, so I talked to my dad, and I'm like, why not run the rest of the series? You know, we go to Newcastle, it's my favorite track. MCC, we're still questionable about, but you get one drop, and then you go to GoPro the last race, so it's like, why not run Charlotte, Newcastle, GoPro, because we really don't have to travel much, and it's like the 3 best tracks that we can go to so far, so, you know, you're like, let's do it. And works out with school. I'm taking online classes right now, so I watched some lectures on the way up here and, you know, did my schoolwork. I got a homework assignment due tomorrow, but, you know, we'll figure out when to do that. That's a later problem. But, you know, we got good sessions so far. Qualifying was terrible. I got 2 wrecks in front of me, impeded a bunch of times, no penalties, so it's whatever. But racing, Heat 1 and 2 was great. You know, we made our way forward from 9th, and then pre-final, carb felt a little off, so I grabbed the needle. I think I grabbed too much, so we were hurting there. I was just sitting there. I couldn't really race anything, but, you know, I was there. So starting P9 for the final, and that's where I started the heat races, and I made my way forward from there. So I'm pretty excited to see what happens.
So we talked to Alan Isambard, who's P1 in the standings. You're right behind in second, about racing for points. How much are you kind of looking at the guys around you in the standings while you're out there, and how is that changing how you're racing?
I mean, I'm really not looking at it because it's between Alan, me, and then Christopher, I think, is third. So it's like I'm just going out there racing, having fun. It's not serious anymore for me, so I just try and enjoy as much as I can because, you know, these times aren't happening every weekend anymore. So, you know, just being at the track's fun. Not really looking at points right now, but obviously it'd be nice to win the championship, so that's in my mind. But just trying to take every race as it is.
Well, thank you, Hayden, and good luck. I believe we've got Nate Dean standing beside Chris Harrower, another BJR teammate.
Yeah, from one BJR to another here, Kyle. Chris, I'm going to keep this short with you because practice session for these guys is ending short and don't want to take up more of your time. This has been a really big weekend for you. We've seen you at the front of the field more than I think we've ever seen you at a national weekend. Just talk about how big this is for your confidence.
It's pretty solid. Army Grands was pretty rough. Charlotte showed good pace, just couldn't put it all together every lap. This time I've been pretty solid hitting my marks. You know, the BJR package is fast. You can see it, 5 in the top 10, so pretty confident going into the final. So.
Perfect, Chris. We'll let you get ready to go as the KA Stars grid is set and ready to go for their warm-up session. We're going to be heading to a quick break in the action. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Jackson with Alpha Race Hub. Alpha is an all-in-one motorsports software solution that can solve all the software problems you need for your track, facility, or series. Alpha can cover all your software bases, from online registration, digital e-waivers, a proprietary timing and scoring software, incident management, automated points tabulation, tire and barcode scanning. We even have our own mobile timing app and rental cart activity management software. If you're looking to consolidate your motorsports software solutions, reach out to us at alphatiming.co.uk.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I went to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Welcome back, everyone, to Newcastle Motorsports Park, right in the shadows of this water tower. Again, some will say we're in Newcastle, some will say we're in Spiceland. Either way, we're in Indiana. And so far here today, these drivers have so far showed some good pace, preparation for the races today. The KA Stars are now set with the clock rolling for their sessions. Now there's two groups again for the warm-ups. That's because, as you remember, we had 30 that took part in a pre-final. A was the indicator we see on scoring. Now that's because pre-final B is today. One spinner already amongst the B drivers gets gathered up. That is going to be David Baker. That's going to be something to talk about when he works on the cruise. But in all seriousness, right now are getting ready to go for today, because the top 10 of this upcoming B pre-final are those who will have to fight essentially into a spot in the grandstands to watch along. If you are amongst those who are in the top 10, well, it's simple. Well, you race for the back, try and race your way to the front over the course of the weekend or to the race. Like Pluto and many more are a part of this pack. So they all zip their way around the racetrack here. Let's send it back down trackside as they go through the shark fin.
Thank you, Justin. And one of my actual full-time jobs and where I started in Kart Chaser was as a photographer. And one of the cool parts of my job, favorite parts, is being able to get this close to the action. There's a few things you can notice here. Number one, the speed as they roll by. And the other thing, as we just saw some contact between the BJR teammates there, is if you just watch the hands of the driver. That's how you can truly tell how good or bad the kart is handling. You'll also see the lean, especially in the hairpin here. You'll see the lean in the corners on trying to distribute the weight in the rear. And yeah, this is just one of the coolest parts, I think, of my job, and getting to just be up close and basically high-five the drivers.
Well, don't physically high-five them. They're driving right now. I remember doing some bicycle or racing pictures and getting almost, I guess, a little too close and getting those would say, hey, back up. But in all seriousness, though, there's some pretty significant names outside of just Pluto in the BJR camp. You have Romo, who's been dealing with penalties. You have a lot of others that are in this warm-up grouping that are going to be keeping an eye on. Austin Olds is a notable that's amongst this group, for example, in Group B in the rotation, Christopher McKeithen. Now, to clarify, this is by originally their numbered groups in B and A in terms of what we've seen over the course of the weekend. So we will see them keep separated that way. We still have the pre-final / main for these drivers. Danny Perez is out here, for example, on the racetrack. Landon Boer's on the racetrack, who looked to be very fast, but is amongst those who did not get the best of luck. There's a lot in terms of how things are getting sorted out on the racetrack, and better yet, how a lot of these competitors are going to have to battle their way throughout the rest of today. See where things really stand out amongst these competitors as we go about. A lot of these drivers in turn setting pace for reference, the 1:11.3s. Now, how do things compare in that regard compared to some of the race pace in yesterday's pre-final action for pre-final A, where McKeith and company ran? They're running lap times as quick as the 1:11.7s with the track temperatures. So they're running upwards of about near a second faster with how cool the conditions are here this morning. That's going to mean for a lot of these competitors, a fair bit more pace, but it's going to be also trying to make sure that balance is right with how these grip levels are going to be and how much these karts want to zip around in with the cooler track. But right now, if you're in a Brown & Jones Crack racing machine, you're amongst a 1, 2, 3 with a couple minutes to go here in this warm-up. Still, that being said, as we finish things up amongst some of the other drivers, keep in mind, you're going to have Warren, who's in the air grouping to keep an eye on. You have Alan Isambard, who's going to be someone to keep an eye on. You have Quinn, that's going to be someone to keep an eye on. That was very pumped up after yesterday's races. All of them are going to be, in terms of the racing, some exciting action throughout the course of the day. Because here's the thing. For drivers like Hayden Jones, who's in this group, for Alan Isambard, they're amongst those in the points conversation. Rough projections show Isambard up 21-ish coming into today's finals over Hayden Jones. Christopher McKeithen still hungry in the conversation within 36. Colin Lloyd within 37 amongst some of the current projections. There it is with the pre-drop for reference on what it looks like. You essentially got 3 teammates that are all fighting for a championship in the early going of the season. But now, the question is 2 teammates and 1 RRC, I should rather say. But the question's going to be, which driver is going to be able to keep the consistency up? Isambard's already indicated. There's points racing. That's going to be happening for that kart over the course of the rest of the weekend. We've seen that in the pre-final. Today, will he be able to points race while getting himself a race win maybe? Because that's one of the better ways to score points, is get yourself to the top of the board. Some of the others outside that top 3, keep in mind. Colin Lloyd, Edgar Rodriguez, we're in that conversation also. Keep an eye on. Chris Harrowler is within the top 6 also. You get towards more than 100 points though, like Harrowler is at 106. Gets a little bit more difficult for the rest of the season because it puts more and more pressure on not only yourself, but hoping that X amount of drivers make mistakes. The more drivers you have to factor in, the harder it will be when you have to leapfrog 6 to 8 to 10 drivers. We talked about the conversations with Eli Warren amongst those on the pace today. Let's send it down to Nate, who's with them.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. With Eli Warren, apologies for making you stop to eat your donut for this. I know that's very important to you. Obviously, going with the Chocolate Friday. Haven't talked with you too much this weekend. Just really quickly as the session ends on track, how's it gone so far?
We've been fast the whole weekend. The 2 heats were crazy. Pre-final is crazy. I've led in each thing so far. 2 heats, pre-final. I've been fast. I was second on the last lap in the pre-final. Tried to go to the outside and the hairpin. It did not work. I ended up 8th. But we're fast, so it should be fine. You know, the final is going to be crazy. So we'll be up front eventually, but you just got to put your head down and hopefully we can get the kart right and I can go win.
How do you deal with such an aggressive field like we saw in the races yesterday?
You just always got to be going forward. If you're waiting and pushing somebody, you're probably just going to get passed. So any opportunity you have to pass, you just go for it, and then you'll go forward.
Perfect. Well, Eli, we'll let you finish your donut and then throw your helmet on. Justin, we'll throw it back to you in the booth.
Thank you very much, Nate. He's going to have to work quickly. He's got only a couple minutes before he has to get in that cart. I don't think he's going to finish the donut in time. I think they just took his donut away, in fact. So Eli Warren will have to finish the donut afterwards, and then he can snack. But all these drivers prepare for another warm-up grouping. Again, after this, the Pro Show warm-up session gets itself underway with those top competitors here today. A lot of karts looking to fire off and be strong, to say the very least. You throw some of those, just being careful what they have to do when they hit that gas pedal and throw it onto the racetrack. Drivers like Jordan Klein were a part of those in this grouping that we kept an eye on moments ago. Mentioned Warren amongst those, and so many others will all stay laser focused until they hit the racetrack once again here on Kart Chaser. Lloyd on team debut has looked very steady so far in his Nash machine. The Nash Motorsports kart has been on the pace and competing up for the race lead just about every single time so far this weekend. And right now, Pink Blue Suit looks to keep things under control. A lot of others trying to join in the fight. Bryson Morris, we talked about him previously, has experience with SCUSA titles, has real-world racing experience when it comes to IMSA competition. He's going to be hungry to try and improve his benchmark. He'll be one of those trying to fight out of those who are amongst your drivers in the last group. But the karts are firing off and getting themselves on the racetrack. Again, KA Stars, Group A for their final group. All set to see where they shake up, and it's so important. Make sure you get tire heat in so you don't slide off the track. Better yet, make sure you can put together the best times you can to give your information to your team where you want to be, or you can end off on the racetrack into the grass. That is going to be JP Rush, it appears. That's having an issue there. JP Roush should say. Gathered again to get back onto the racetrack. Assistance is now underway for them. Corey talked about some of the other various things when it comes to Group A for Heat 1 and Heat A, I should rather say. Lloyd was the winner over drivers like Hayden Jones were in their respective group, and Sam Mabrutsky in terms of the A groups and the heats. Isn't Barnum and Keithan were the ones who controlled the B. We've seen them earlier in the warm-ups. Landon Boer was amongst those we've seen earlier on in some of the warm-ups with the previous drivers, but in Group A of Heat 1, they were amongst those who picked for the win over Ian Quinn, remember, earlier on, and looked to be one of the contenders for things went awry from Heat 2 onwards at GFC. Keeping an eye on some of the drivers as we get planned about here. Amongst those to keep an eye on, it's going to be those in this pack, because you have drivers like the 999 that have looked fast for the course of the weekend, but you also throw Jordan Klein that's assisting, looking to find the pace. Sam Tutwiler is that 999 that has had so much terms of competitiveness so far, but in the result sheet hasn't necessarily spoken to how well Tutwiler started off the qualifying set up the weekend in the first place. And a lot of others look to become the ones that look to get a standout performance. Isabella Simpson is the one who leads this pack, by the way. A little bit of pushing, argy-barginess. As you can tell, Tutwiler not happy. He just made contact with the 907 and pushed him off. Seen it with the body language, with both the left and right hand that popped up there initially. Everybody else will keep themselves going through this session as we continue to build up the speed. Again, For those tuning in, brought to you by Paraco, this pre-race coverage. Get a Paracasso today. After all, if you're tired, that's going to be able to help you keep the energy you need on the racetrack and at said track over the course of the weekend. Rotsky, by the way, one of the top drivers behind Chavo at the moment here this morning. Clark is also doing very well in terms of that number 2 plate here today. By the way, for those who do like hearing Pericasso or getting yourself energy, you have a code for that. That is Kart Chaser, 20% off. Go to Perico.energy and you'll be able to use that code, get the energy drinks. There are multiple different flavors you can get, after all, of Perico here today and be able to help get yourself the energy you're looking for from Perico Energy Drink. Under 3 minutes to go in this warm-up session. Last of the drivers continue to sort themselves out here this morning. Of note, amongst those in the top 10, Landers, who's been very quiet, is up there. Lloyd is doing well in the 7th position. Zende, one of the RRCs, is looking steady also. Will they be able to try and assist? In terms of team conversation, because teamwork can be so helpful in some cases a weekend like this. All the other drivers at this point going to be figuring out if they're going to be able to balance out the grip levels, make sure they're on the point with how things have shaped up to close out the weekend. One of the major things we've seen is the track progression with how much rubber's built up. Look at all the marbles, after all, that have started to stick to the racing surface here. A lot of these karts started off with not too much grip because of the rain that had been in the area over the course of the past few weeks. A couple series did run there, but of course weather can obviously wash away whatever rubber is built up on that racing surface. Make sure it's basically to where eventually it slickens up to where it gets looser for the handling. A lot of people have described over the course of the weekend, and a lot of drivers were expecting that. Remember some of the discussions we had with some of the Masters competitors we touched upon on Friday's qualifying coverage. Expecting by this point forward, or from the Saturday onward especially, this racetrack would end up having you to where you have to be much looser on the setup compared to at the start of the weekend for having the balance you need, because the rubber will eventually, with the grip, make your car turn on the brakes. You would be essentially going from stomping on the brakes to start the weekend to basically lightly tapping it a bit more was the expectation for some, especially in the KA packages. And now we're really seeing that come into play with how much speed a lot of these karts are carrying. Still in the 111 ones for reference at the top of the board. Average speed, I would say, for some is still around the 3s to 4s for a lot of these drivers for racing today. But we're coming up towards the end of this part of the warm-up sessions, and we're getting ready for the Pro Show to hit the racetrack. OKNJ, OKN Stars, Pro Stars will all get themselves the respective warm-up sessions. Those drivers will each have a little bit of extra bit to work with, if you will. Make sure they are set to fly on the track before we get to the timing break before that B pre-final we talked about, the KA Stars. Again, for those who want to keep an eye on some of those races will be on KC Premium today. Be sure to subscribe to KC Premium, become a member today. Follow along with those in the KA Masters, Micro Swift, KC Masters, and KC Super Masters, the KA Junior Swift Stars, and KA Stars, the Pro Show. Remember, we're going to have some access to that later on today. But Jared Clark was the top driver in this session by 2 tenths over Resende. Then you also have Lloyd Chabot along with Frutsky over Warren, Surgeon, Tutwiler, Quinn, and Hamill in the top 10. Next up on track, OKNJ. Warm-ups continue. You're watching pre-race coverage brought to you by Perico.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and zero sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tag?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You gotta make way. Okay, you're good.
I'm sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle.
How the f did you just win?
Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
Welcome back to the Stars Championship Series. The Pro Show has officially started. I'm with Greg Bell from Mega Power Engines. Greg, you're a busy guy, so I'm going to keep this short with you. You've been on this OKN package since day one in the United States. You have a ton of customers. How important has it been to see the progression through from day one till now? Because the likes of Blake Nash, Cameron Johnson, two drivers that are very fast in OKN Stars and OKN Junior, have your engines on. What's it like been with that progression?
It's not been difficult. Like, obviously we were on it first thing when it first came out. We always liked the open platform engines, KZ, this kind of thing. And really the most of the development's been at the beginning of the stretch. We've been just fine tuning since then. Been pretty lucky to be able to have good drivers on it, which it always takes good drivers to make shit happen. And we seem to be going fast where the horsepower needs to be.
Appreciate it. You're a busy guy, so we'll let you get back to the fence. Justin, we'll send it back to you. Apologies for the language there, but Pro Show underway.
Indeed, OKNJ is on the racetrack and rolling here. So we can get things off for this session. Remember, got a little spicy in Moto 2 in particular because drivers like Johnson, Ives, and Stiegenberg all had contact on lap 1, turn 2. Some of the front runners that were in control in Moto 1, that put drivers like Tristan Murphy up to the point over Maxwell Mancha, where the gap ended up being 9.7 seconds in Moto 2. Now today, it's a different day, and there's a chance for a lot of competitive battling because Parker Ives is on the pace this weekend. You also throw some of the drivers like Gutowski in the mix. You even throw in the conversation here like Aldis, who is quietly joining in on some of the fray for some of the positions. It was entertaining what we've seen on some of the charges, but today, find out if we get a repeat winner and someone else who breaks on through. Keeping an eye and seeing how things fare out in particular, though. Achilles Burko at the top of the board begins things off here in this warm-up session, if you will. Now, one of the major things to think about is the conversation when it comes to projected standings entering today. OKNJ projections show Parker Ives would have the advantage at the moment. You also throw as many as 3 to 6 drivers, maybe even 8, realistically, you have a good chance here in points coming in. Nico Kotowski's a -19. Tristan Murphy's a -27 as well on those standings pre-drop right now. Mancha, by the way, is also 53. Johnson's within 56. Coming in with Spurko, Walcott, and Vitor, all within 70 to 80 points. It could all shuffle and get a little bit more tougher for a couple of conversations with racing today. But our RPM to have at least 2 drivers in the conversation amongst your top 3 spots, I'd be happy Ryan Perry is, you'd have to think, here today with how things are looking early on in the standings. Speaking of the RPMs, they are 1 and 2 in warm-up, so the fire-off is definitely looking like it may be there for Murphy and Snegenberg. Lives going to be interesting for the race in of itself. Now, in terms of how things may potentially look there for how your starters go, the projected starting lineup has Murphy and Mancha set to start in front of it, by the way, over Kotowski and Baldus. Parker Eyes would have to start around 5th because of how things went with the heat points. There are 3 drivers tied actually for 2nd in said moto points, if you will, to set up the grid. Mancha got the tiebreaker because they had the fastest previous of the qualifying laps. That was by 2/10 over Kotowski and Baldus. It's one of the drivers that will have to come from the back overall. Colton Snegenberg, though, was the last in those respective point tallies with 19 according to Alpha Timing. So as they get finished up here in the session, we'll find out pretty soon how the racing will fare out. Because again, for those who have not followed before in this series, these drivers have longer distances compared to the others when it comes to Pro Show. OKNJ, OKN Stars, Pro Stars all have 17 minutes plus the 2 laps to go for it, and have celebrations that they'll have respectively over the course of today. One of the major things talked about this morning for some of the drivers, after all, was, hey, don't forget about the donuts, because they are giving away donuts here on the property here today. But they also reminded drivers, hey, especially if you're in a gearbox class, do donuts, because people love celebratory donuts, Stars especially. Coming up to 50 seconds to go. Final few moments here with the warm-up session for OKNJ. Let's take a listen to the sights and sounds. seeing the finish up here on the warm-up. Get ready for our next group. Let's send it down to Kyle, who's trackside.
Thank you, Justin. Down here on the grid for OKN Stars, and it's going to be quite the day for OKN Stars. This has been, I think this class is always one of the highlights of the weekend. You see up front here, Max Cristea, the rookie and senior winner at the Queen City Gambit. He's already in the cart, ready to get into warm. He's been missing the pace a little bit this weekend, but he's still been fighting in the top 7. He's been up there, holding on to his points lead. You do get one drop in this season, though, so he's definitely having a good weekend. Diego Ramos has been fighting at the front. He'll start third, I believe, for the main event. He's been up there kind of causing havoc to what has been the Blake Nash show. You see Chase Gassiet-Lee. I woke up this morning. What's up, Chase? How you doing, buddy? You missed that. I woke up this morning and I said, if Chase Gassiet-Lee won today, that would be such a popular win. And he was up front fighting with Paulie Massimino. Chase, how you feeling going into the final?
I laid down after a warm-up.
Thank you, Chase. Very inspirational. We get back to John Antonino, who is a defending winner from Junior. Get out of the way here. Defending winner from Junior. He's been up at the front. James Overbeck as well, who just came by. Hasn't really been up front with pace-wise, but he's found himself on the front row with Paulie Massimino after penalties and all the chaos. There goes Blake Nash. He put half a second on the field yesterday in qualifying, so he's been the guy to beat. He's had a target on his back. The whole field knows it. The whole field knows that they're going to have to go back and try and get up to Blake Nash. Back to you, Justin.
Thank you very much, as OKN Stars are now on the racetrack, and it's a good time to start heading towards where we think the picks will go here for today, or pick 'em if we will, because for a lot of competitors we've seen so many people in the conversation. We haven't mentioned one of them yet that we're watching for. That's the 93. John Antonino, for example, has been one of the drivers that's impressed so far after being one of the dominant drivers in the junior side last year, and one of those that was fast at this facility. Now, today could be a challenge, and that's why when it comes to your OKN Stars picks today, he just so happens to be going to be one of mine. In fact, is mine. Antonino is one I'm going to be keeping an eye on here today, and I think a lot of people will be. The MPG camp here today to try and get the big senior victory here today. Now joining in on the picks here today in our pick'em, Grace Overbeck will be one of our pickers here today. Grace, good to hear from you this weekend.
Hi, Justin. Thank you guys so much for having me. And yeah, actually, I think for my pick for OKN, I'm going to go with Max Cristea. I mean, he had a really good weekend at our last Stars race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I have a feeling he's a really confident driver, and he's going to bring it back today. And for our pro shifter event, I think I'm going to go with Jay Irwin. I mean, he's just had such a strong weekend so far, and it's really kind of a breakaway for him. So I'm going to send it. I'm going to send it over to Kyle to give his picks.
Thank you, Grace. I hope James, your brother James, watches that back later and sees that you didn't pick him. I'm going to go with Blake Nash. P10 on the grid, but I think he's shown so much pace through the weekend. I don't know. I think he'll be able to come through the field, and it's just a matter of getting to the lead and staying there, honestly. He's just had so much pace, half a second in qualifying. Had a bit of a target on his back yesterday in the heats. I think they're really going to have to put the fight to Blake, but I think he has the pace, and it's going to be tough to kind of get him out of the way while he's coming from the back. Now to Nate Dean for his pick.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle, as they go roaring on by Blake Nash, a really strong pick. Have to go a little bit different here. Blake's been strong all weekend, but another driver who's been quiet, but with the team he's on, PSL Karting always shows up on Sunday for the main event. My pick, number 3 plate of Diego Ramos.
Thank you you very much, guys. As you can see, 4 different picks for OKN Stars, 4 different opportunities for those drivers. There's a lot you could also throw in terms of those you can throw in the picks too, in terms of just who we see for OKN Stars in particular here this weekend. We're going to be in the conversation, like Massimino and so many more. Doan, who's trying to pick up after a recovery. It's going to be an interesting battle. I think it's what we're emphasizing here for OKN Stars. And right now, Antonino just so happens to be the fast, is in the warm-up. But so many more when it comes to the other side, when it comes to the Pro Stars, are on focus. The Magic Man, AJ Myers, is going to be one of those in particular. As for example, you have that will be one of those fast drivers, and so many others that are looking to come through. For Myers, it's his birthday weekend. He celebrated his birthday yesterday. Ended up coming away with solid finishes in both the motos. But solid doesn't get you the top step of the podium. Being the best gets you the top step. And he's a driver that's won so many times here at Newcastle. Looks like we have some troubles though on the racetrack. That's Triantos, who's off the circuit. The 32 has an issue. Now, let's head down to the birthday boy, AJ Myers.
All right, AJ, first of all, happy birthday. I don't think we got to tell you that yesterday. As far as the racing goes, what do you need to get up to Jay?
Yeah, the birthdays aren't so happy these days, but yeah, I mean, Erwin had the better hand yesterday, got the best of me 2 times. We looked at it, hopefully have some more pace today to fight him. You know, yesterday was kind of one-sided, so hopefully we get back in it.
You know, Jay mentioned yesterday the track was starting to slick off. You've been to Newcastle a number of times. What has the progression been? And, you know, it's supposed to be a little bit cooler today, so what are you predicting?
I don't know. You know, yesterday was all used tires, so now we're back to new, cool this morning. So this morning warm-up's going to be a lot different than what it's going to be later today. So it's always tough. The track changes a lot here.
All right, thank you, AJ, and good luck. I'm just going to work my way down here. As you see, the Magic carts are lined up. We have Annie Rule back here. Annie, grab you for a second. First of all, welcome back. It's good to see you back in the seat. How's it been? You were posting on social media a bit that you were falling out a bit.
Yeah, definitely been a minute since I was last in the kart. We're struggling a bit, but P6 in both motos, so the speed's there, I'm just not.
Thank you, Annie. It's good to see you back. Come down. We don't really talk to Mitchell Lowry much at all. Mitchell, it's your first start this year. How's it been?
It's been a little rough. Taking me a while to get up to pace, and my motor speed gets there in V2, but I'll be starting from the back in the final, and I'll send it and see how it goes.
All right, it's all send it for Mitchell Lowry. Thank you. We have Nate Dean up all the way at the front of the grid with Jay Irwin.
Yeah, real quick, Jay. Helmet's on for most of the grid. Holding you for a sec. Jay, really good run yesterday, and honestly, just a very strong start of the 2026 season. Starting on the front row, were there any nerves for you going into this race?
No, it should be okay so long as I get a good start and hopefully can pull out the start. But yeah, I mean, yesterday was really good, and just gonna have to see what it brings.
Absolutely, and been asking the PSL guys all throughout the weekend. Such a super team that we have, especially here at Stars Championship Series and in the shifter category. Talk about how important it is to have such a strong team behind you.
Yeah, you know, like it's everything. The driver can only do so much, and yeah, like my mechanic, chef, everybody, like Dom with the engines, everybody. When everybody works together, you can see what the result is.
All right, well, appreciate it, Jay. Back to Kyle Cuthbertson at the back of the grid.
I'm standing here with Jonathan Ocasio. Jonathan, you managed to get yourself in a P4 starting spot. Tell me about your day yesterday and how you're looking forward to the final.
My day yesterday was pretty good. We had pretty good long run pace, which I was pretty happy with, and I know Vincenzo had a little bit of issues, so we made some free spots off of that as well. And yeah, we just had good pace in the long run, and we were able to make some positions. And yeah, we started a good P4, and excited to see what we could do from there.
So tell me about your experience here, because we've seen you at the Stars Championship Series over the last couple of years. You started here in the Rock category. You've moved your way up into KZ. Just tell me about the experience level.
Yeah, Rock is definitely a lot different than KZ. That is a very humbling experience over the past couple of years. Last year especially, we had a really good pace. Just struggled a little bit in terms of just consistency, a little physically, a little bit mentally as well. But this year we just kind of, I don't know, opened up a third eye, I guess, and just everything just started making sense. So we're looking good today.
Thank you, Jonathan. Good luck today. I'm just going to move over here real quick before we roll off on grid to CJ Bowman. CJ, pretty solid day yesterday. Tell me about it.
I've had solid pace all weekend. Got a little ahead of myself in the second heat and let the emotions get the best of me, but hopefully I can keep that in check today and get back to the front.
What do you do to kind of put those emotions aside and just reset today and have a new day?
Just really gotta almost like meditate back at the hotel room, just calm down. There's more important things than anger, so just gotta keep that away from affecting my race and other people's races.
Thank you, CJ. Good luck today. Back to Justin to go over the results of OKN Pro.
Thank you very much, guys. As Flagman's having some fun with the caution flag. John Antonino was the top driver in the warm-up 2 for today. Martin Kremers in the top 2. Then Ramos, Nash, Massimino in the top 5 within 4/10. Yassiet Lee was in 6th. James Overbeck down in 7th. Doan Lorenko. Cristea amongst those in the top 10, followed by Corelli, Kuhn, along with Rodriguez, Idrinatos, who went off the racetrack, and Hazer. Once the top drivers, the others did not set times in that session. So the OKN starts putting together some good runs, and that brings us towards the Pro Stars as we get ready to see how they go. And there's been so much talk over the course of this weekend of one of your favorites. The speed has been there by, I think, one of your favorites. That is Jay Irwin. Long run pace has been there. The fire off has been strong. And that's why he is my pick coming into today. Yes, I know of Myers' track record. Yes, you know of his birthday weekend. But Irwin all weekend has had the speed from the get-go to pull away on long run. He won by more than 2 seconds in Moto 2, for example. It has been a strong weekend for Jay Irwin here so far on the racetrack. Let's throw it down to Grace.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. I'm sorry, I kind of jumped the gun on my prediction earlier, but I'm going to have to agree with you. Jay is just dominant this weekend so far, and I can totally see him taking it away later today. And I'm going to send it over to Kyle for his prediction.
Thank you, Grace. And much like Grace, I have to agree. AJ Myers, Jay Irwin on the front row. Magic Kart versus Burrell. AJ versus any driver in a Burrell. It's a tale as old as time, or at least as old as Kart Chaser. I'm going to pick Jay Irwin today, though. I agree with pretty much the entire panel that I think he's found another gear this weekend. And I think this season we've seen a very, I would say, composed, mature Jay Irwin. And that's not to say AJ Myers, he's going to be right there. Yeah, I think, to throw it back last year, the last time we raced here, both AJ and Jay Irwin ran into problems. So just to put that out there, and anything could happen. Now to Nate.
Yeah, guys, 4th and final pick, a little bit of pressure. I'm going to level with you. It's Jay Irwin again. He's been so impressive so far this weekend. Off the line, he's had the better hole shots than AJ for the most part. Just has incredibly good long run pace, and with these longer main events, I think that's only going to help him out. Of course, all of us picking the same driver, I think AJ is going to be close. I really do. The Magic Kart team know how to get it done at Newcastle, looking for his 3rd King Castle. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be close, but Jay Irwin only just.
Thank you very much, everybody. And all in unison, I think that's a rarity when it comes to Kart Chaser, when it comes to the panel. But AJ Myers has the chance, I think, possibly to disrupt that as we go. It's just going to be, can he find that extra 10th or 2 a lap to be able to keep up with the 206 today? That's been the challenge of the weekend, to keep up with that PSL karting machine. Calcio going to the top of the board right now amongst the Magic Kart pack as they continue to warm up the tires and get themselves through our final warm-up session. Remember, for those tuning in, we still have racing action before we get to the finals today. After all, we do have a B pre-final to determine who will move on to the KA Stars. That will be a 7-minute race plus 2 laps. Just 7 to determine, give or take, who will make the field for today. But everybody else looking to be in good spirits and good rhythm here on the racetrack with a lot of the conversations we had with the drivers. A lot of them happy with what they're feeling here entering this morning. The temperatures continue to pick up here at Newcastle Motorsports Park. What's been some good coverage. Again, happy to have Perico on board, a part of our coverage once again throughout the 3 races this season. Again, make sure to support them with the code Kart Chaser for a 20% off code. 20% off Perico at perico.energy. Be sure to get your Perico energy drink today. Pericasso, indeed. And so, at the top of the board, it's one of those that's been quietly also joining in the fray. That's Eli Fox. That's looked pretty solid in his Burrell Art machine so far here today. Right now, that 220 machine continues to ride up in front. By the way, don't forget, we also have GoPro that's helped support us here for our coverage. Be sure to use that 10% off promo code you see at Kart Chaser 10. As one driver, the 210, it just so happens to be Saraceno. Having more issues. It's been a rough weekend for Saraceno. It's another issue when it comes to that kart. Once again, it does not seem to have power. This has happened every moto. This has now happened in the warm-up. It has been a disastrous weekend for the 210 machine as he rolls his way slowly around the racetrack. A little bit of smoke also coming out from the tailpipes as a result. Saraceno, it's just been hit after hit, unfortunately, for his PSL karting machine. It looks like he's ran out fully of power. He's coming to a stop. At least trying to get it to roll down the hill. Now gets it fired back up. Going to have to take that safe way to pit road to make sure it is off the circuit after some of the electrical, we referred to it, I believe, yesterday as well. Irwin, by the way, is second on those on the track as they zip on by, followed by Bowman and Rist. Becklin currently top 5 in the final minute of this warm-up session here. Still have Myers, who, again, is not indicative of potential pace, but is 1 second back of the warm-up. Wonder if saving a little bit compared to the contrast of Irwin, who just had the fastest lap of the weekend in a 105.036. So one driver is pushing to see what they've got at the very top end on tempo. And you've got another that's looking to make sure to save those tires for the final for 17 minutes of racing plus 2 laps later on today. It looks like Myers going for a push lap maybe here, if that. We're in the final time for the session. Myers backed off pretty hard. That previous time by was running in the 108s. Of some of the other notables here, we have an off track. This is Lowry that's now had issues. One of the Magic karts that's having to pull off. Lowry has had a very quiet weekend. The second kart this warm-up session that's had a problem here before the start of today's racing. The checker flag waving. A couple drivers are going to have to quickly get their karts fixed up. After all, according to the timetable estimates, they would have from this point forward about 2.5, 3 hours to get that kart ready for the racing action to make sure they have a chance to battle for the top steps of the podium today here in Stars. Checker flag waving. Curious where this lap is going to be just to finish up your session. But Myers did not show a change. Actually did show a change. The 105.3 still a couple tenths behind to start off. Irwin was the fastest in the warm-up though today. That is over Myers, Rist, Fox, Pullman. The top 5, Becklin, Kennedy, Enkel, Rule, followed by Ocasio in your top 10. Pedregon in 11th. Also joined today by Cheek, Lowry, Poles, and Saraceno, who all set lap times to close out the day of warm-ups at least. You still have racing action to go here on Kart Chaser as the warm-ups are complete. Let's take a break. Coming up is pre-final B. You're watching Kart Chaser.
Motorsports builds champions every day, drivers who won on the world stage. The Tillotson T4 Series is pure spec racing. Same engine, same chassis. When you win, it's because you were the best that day. Your edge is not the kart, it's the setup, the strategy, and the race team. With our Arrive and Drive program, you simply bring your gear, we provide the equipment and the championship winning support to every event. Stop wrenching, start racing. Your path to the T4 Nations Cup in Spain starts with us. For more information, contact us at macromotorsports.net.
Karting isn't just speed. It's control, precision, freedom. At Atlanta Motorsports Park, Kart Freedom isn't just a team. It's where drivers are made.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Hey guys, I'm Chris G. I'm Kart Chaser's driver fitness coach, and today I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to strengthen your shoulders for more endurance and better stability in the kart. Here we go. Okay, so exercise number 1 is the front rope pull-through cable raises. Okay, now this is the upright cable row. What you are doing here is you're picking a straight bar, as you see, and we're working the side areas of our shoulders, the medial. Exercise number 3, the dumbbell shrugs. As you guys can tell, I like to pause at the top before releasing. It's great for your strength, for that wheel stability. It's great for those shoulders and that upper back area. Chris G coaching, race-ready training that carries into real life. That's what we do here. See you on the next one.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix. James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars.
On track or off, Brandon Jarsekrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsekrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsekrakRacing.com.